Okay, right, let's unpack this. Today, we are diving deep into a new book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, TJR, called Atmosphere.
Mhm.
But I gotta admit, when I first heard this title, my brain kind of stalled for a second. Like, wait, did I miss something? Did she announce this? Was I just completely out of the loop? I honestly wondered if it was even like a real book for a moment.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, right, is that reaction you had, that, wait, is this real thing? It actually kind of proves TJR's power. Because, whether the book exists or not, just hearing the title immediately makes you think of her specific style. People call her the queen of making you feel like you're, I don't know, best friends with these fictional rock stars or tennis legends. Her books, they aren't just stories. They're more like experiences. They really pull you in.
Like a velvet curtain, yeah. That's a good way to put it. They sort of wrap around you. Okay, so our mission for this deep dive then is, well, let's explore the potential. What would Atmosphere be like if TJR actually wrote it? What would that concept look like through her very distinctive way of writing?
Exactly. It's about thinking how she takes these emotional landscapes, these really deep characters, and how she'd apply that to something as abstract as, well, atmosphere. How would she make that feel real and engaging?
Yeah, because when I think Atmosphere by TJR, I'm not picturing like weather patterns. I imagine it's about that feeling in a room, the tension between people or the excitement, that vibe.
Yeah.
And she loves specific eras, right?
Mhm.
So I'm kind of picturing maybe the 70s or 80s again, glamorous, but maybe a bit
Oh,
intense.
absolutely. The 70s or 80s, that's perfect. Think about the excess, the sort of freedom, but also the pressures of those times. It creates this ideal setting for the intense emotional stuff she explores so well. Imagine like a 70s rock scene after party. The atmosphere there could be thrilling, but also kind of suffocating, right, for her characters. She's brilliant at not just setting the scene, but using all the senses, the subtext. The atmosphere itself almost becomes a character.
Right. So it's not just the background. It's sort of driving the story.
Yeah, influencing everything.
Okay, so we've got the setting, the era, but what about her characters? How would they fit into this? Or even, like you said, create that atmosphere?
Excellent point. Because her characters, they aren't just passive observers, are they? They're often the source of the atmosphere. Think about her usual types. Maybe a struggling artist, or like a mysterious famous person hiding away, or someone in high society going to endless parties. In this book, Atmosphere, their inner worlds, their secrets, their tensions, that would be what actively shapes the feeling of the room, the party, the whole story's mood. She'd probably show us the same event from different perspectives, right? So you'd feel these clashing vibes all at once.
Oh, yeah, that's totally her style. Building layers through what people don't say. You feel the history, the secrets. You can almost taste the tension or the hope or whatever it is. Her writing is just so immediate. You feel it all.
Precisely. And it kind of brings us back to how she operates, doesn't it? She draws you in with the glamour, the setting, but then she makes you care so deeply about these often larger-than-life people and their feelings. If Atmosphere were real, it would definitely be a masterclass in that emotional resonance. The real plot wouldn't just be the events. It'd be how it feels, those invisible currents, pushing and pulling people, how these shared moments create this vibe that just hangs in the air even after everything's over. That's where the story would live.
So, yeah, we've basically done a conceptual deep dive here. We've explored the idea of Atmosphere as a TJR book, thinking about how she'd weave setting, character, her whole narrative approach into something really immersive, focused on those unseen forces.
And it's a great way to appreciate her craft, really. It shows how good she is at taking something intangible, like a feeling, and making it the core of a story.
Absolutely. So thinking about all this, maybe a final thought for you listening right now. If this book isn't actually out there, what kind of atmosphere would you want Taylor Jenkins Reid to tackle next? What feeling, what vibe deserves her kind of deep dive? Something to think about.